changes to the equipment system and the design of KvK, the developers are thinking about some big changes to Rise of Kingdoms, and so we've got to talk about it. Also, Lucerne Scrolls Volume 11, we've got a sneak peek for you. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in this video, sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms, we're going to be talking about the face-to-face with the developers, the latest and greatest changes that are potentially on the way to the game. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides designed to help you get value and smash your enemies, as well as the latest and greatest news, then smash that subscribe button, throw a like on the video, and let's freaking get started, baby. The first thing, the beginner's immigration can now only be used once. Why make that change? And I think developers, I'm summarizing their explanation here, kind of caught on to the fact that the beginner's teleport was really more like the advanced player's advantage. Players that have been playing the game for a very, very long time would show up in a new kingdom with, you know, millions upon millions of resources, tons of extra experience on their commanders, a bunch of power that new players to the game don't have. And it kind of wasn't fair to new players who really had no clue how to use this beginner's immigration or beginner's teleport item to their advantage. They're still just getting oriented to the game and probably even just used it to teleport within their own kingdom. All that to say, I mean, it just wasn't fair. Let's be real, right? It just wasn't fair to the players who were just picking up the game for the first time. I think that's why they have made that change and have really restricted the extent to which a jumper process gives you advantage. That says it still gives you a pretty big advantage. You should still do a jumper group. And I made a very detailed guide on the latest and greatest method to get that advantage using a jumper process. I'll have a card up in the top. Up next, you can end up in a situation where you find insufficient troops to use in Osiris League if your kingdom is currently involved in a KvK. Is it possible to stagger League and KvK at different times? And they say, well, it'll be difficult to stagger them because they kind of take place at different times for different kingdoms. They're looking for into ways to resolve this problem and require more time to finalize the solution. So Negan actually proposed a solution to me, and I passed it along to Lilith because I thought it was pretty freaking amazing, which is that when you are in KvK, you have, in the Season of Conquest anyways, half of your troops that kind of die go to the Hall of Heroes. And that Hall of Heroes is all troops you get back. So Negan's suggestion was that, like, why can't you just use your Hall of Hero troops in Osiris League? You're getting them back anyways, right? So what if you could just use them in League because they are yours anyways as soon as your KvK is over, and that makes it fair for people that are in KvK and not in KvK, that at least you're, like, getting some of those troops that you can use. Maybe they're looking into perhaps a more generous solution about the amount of troops that you could use. This is, I suppose, a tricky problem to try and solve, but it's a real problem. There are KvKs that are ruined because some number of kingdoms are like, well, it's Osiris League, so we're either going to take a really easy fight and, you know, gang up on kingdoms that are much weaker, or we're just not going to fight at all. We're going to farm the whole time and see you in 3 months in the next KvK. And so this is definitely an important problem to solve for everybody's fun. I don't think it's, like, urgent, but, like, pretty important that they solve this and they solve this well. Hopefully they come up with a really great solution sometime soon before really, like, the next Osiris League were to show up. Now, the equipment loadout is a great feature, but gear is currently equipped to another commander. Then you have to remove everything before you can re-equip it, which is annoying. It definitely is. For those of you who haven't seen my kind of workaround for how to move equipment around between commanders, I will have a equipment slot dedicated to having no gear on it on every commander. So I remove all my gear from every commander, and then I reassign my gear to the commanders that are going to be using it to try to avoid the situation where it ruins my presets because it's on one commander and another commander and it deletes it from the preset. It's kind of weird the way that is working, and so I'm glad that they're going to, you know, solve it without having to do this really weird workaround that everybody is doing right now. Could you add more ways for us to obtain skill reset items? And they said yes. That's amazing news. If you watched my video yesterday, and well, I guess it was 2 days ago and the day before, we talked about risky commander investments where you try to skip one skill and max a different one, or max several skills, like Guan Yu. Skip the second skill, max the last two. And actually, I do need to release kind of an update to the probability for pulling that off successfully. For a 5-1-5-5 commander, it is actually lower than I represented in the video. Somebody went in and did some simulations, and we found an error in the math. It's closer to like a 2.5% chance to get a 5-1-5-5 commander with skill resets, but I'm going to talk about that probably in tomorrow's video more in depth. All we need to say here is that the fact that you can get more skill reset items is amazing, and there may be ways here to save just a ton of legendary commander sculptures on commanders where, you know what, you really don't care about one of those skills. And if you want to see more about that, I've got a card up in the top for the very best ways to use those skill resets. Are we going to see holiday events with new gameplay and content? We're currently looking into some new and improved holiday events with more festive spirit. Now, I don't know what that means, but hopefully I'm into it when it happens. It should be able to present in the next few months. I'll say that for holiday events, they're very formulaic. There's like 2 or 3 different formats that we see over and over, and it would be cool to see, I don't know, something different, a little festive, that you know, gets you into the event more than just the rewards, right? Tier 5 unit healing is too expensive. Amen, hallelujah, you're correct. Whoever asked this question is correct. Now, this answer, let me give my thoughts here. They say, we added crystal technologies to the Season of Conquest, which can decrease the healing cost for Tier 5 units. But here's the problem. That technology is at the very, 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 very end of your journey in the crystal technology. So by the time most players get to decreasing the healing cost of their T5 units, KvK's over. All the fighting's already happened. It's irrelevant. Even as a spender, you've probably done more than 50% of your fighting without any of the healing cost reduction, any meaningful amount of healing cost reduction for T5 units. So I feel like it would be really nice if we took that and we just, boom, pulled it forward into that tree, or even put it in like a separate branch that addresses healing cost. Because here's the thing. The more people play, the more fun they have. And the more fun people have in KvK, the more they want to play the next KvK. So I think that reducing the healing cost is actually a good thing. And people that are going to spend to get more advantage relative to everybody else are still going to spend to get more advantage relative to everybody else. But I think that if you pulled that research forward, it would dramatically improve the sort of cost reduction, how soon people realize that, and potentially how much fun people have and how much they can go and play. So we're looking into this issue in other ways, but are also very careful when it comes to changing resource costs, and such changes will need to go through a period of testing and analysis. Totally get it. I think the really extremely simple answer to this is to not have that healing tech at the end of the crystal research tree, but toward the beginning of the crystal research tree. And, you know, I want to be careful what I wish for here, because I don't know what cost that's going to come at, which is why I was suggesting that maybe you just put that in a separate tree, where if you want to focus on healing costs, you can focus on the healing costs, you know? In addition, we'd like to share a couple things the team has been focusing on recently. Number one, we've received a lot of player suggestions with regard to the equipment system, and we're using them to make some improvements that are still currently under review. We hope the modified system will enhance the rock experience. I want to talk about this, the equipment experience, for just a second, and we look forward to informing governors of these changes as soon as they're confirmed. So here is what I see as the two potentially fundamental flaws with the equipment system. And look, I mean, the equipment system is really cool with regard to collecting and meaningfully enhancing your commanders. There are a couple things, though, that are a little weird. First of all, I'll say that because there is so much randomness involved, and because you do equipment crafting so infrequently, players that get unlucky when they craft equipment have a major feel bad, and they're constantly being exposed to other players who've done better. And that is because the players who get really lucky with special talents rightfully are excited, and they brag about, hey, look, I got a special talent. It's like, you know, I crafted 3 times and I got 3 special talents. Look at me. And this is just a problem with human psychology. Like, we're always going to compare to somebody else, and that somebody else we're likely to compare to is going to be the person that got the most lucky and go like, dang, I wish that was me. So am I saying that the equipment system should have no, luck whatsoever? I don't know. I don't know. But I'll say that the difference between a system that has luck and is more okay how much luck there is like the gold key system. Not that I'm in love with gold keys, but you're going to open thousands of gold keys in the time that you make 1 or 2 legendary equipment, or 3 or 4 if you're spending, or 5 or 6 if you're spending. And the range of your luck is so profound that, I mean, like, it's just, you could be in two completely different places with your ability to actually be effective on the battlefield based 100% on luck. And we're talking about, years of time to try to correct for bad luck. I don't know. Maybe that's something that they're looking into. The other thing that, I'll say is that to solve this problem with legendaries, you have to dismantle them. And when you dismantle a legendary, you lose half the materials. There's just so much feel bad around that. And you're paying a lot of money potentially to get those materials, and half of them just go away. I don't know. I think it's good that they're looking at this system. And I'm very curious to see kind of what they're going to do here with the equipment system, hopefully to give players maybe more sense of control around special talents and remove some of the feel bad when you get unlucky. Because again, if you get unlucky with some gold keys, man, you're going to open hundreds more gold keys and get tons of them totally free, right? But when you mess up on equipment, you miss that special talent. Anyways, the design of KvK is one of our most important tasks, and we are constantly looking at it. We'll be releasing some new content in the spirit of this in the next few months, which will play differently to the current season of Conquest. For instance, we're exploring some all-new terrain. Okay, so they said they're going to do sea battles, by the way. All new terrain and mechanisms to add to the newest season of Conquest. Stay tuned. So, play differently than the current season of Conquest, but they're adding mechanisms to the newest season of Conquest. So this is interesting. So that makes me wonder if the Trojan horse thing, which is the third format of KvK that we've sort of been seeing sitting around but not actually been able to look at or play yet, is going to be just like very different than the previous versions of KvK. I wonder. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I will say one thing that I would like to see in KvK, maybe, or somewhere in the game, is use for our old commanders and giving them some semblance of value. So, for example, if I just look at my commanders real quick, right? Like, old commanders like Constantine, Richard I, Double C, really more like Hannibal Barca and Caesar and Mehmed. These dudes are basically worthless, right? They're completely worthless unless you're in Heroic Anthem, and then maybe one of their skills shows up, and then maybe one of their skills that shows up is actually any good, right? So I actually like all of that as a mechanic for making commanders that we got early on relevant later on. But it would be nice if there was like just something we could be doing with these commanders that, gives them value where now they kind of don't have much value at all. So for example, like I'm just going to shoot from the hip, and I'm not a game designer, but I'm just giving you an example of something you could do is like, if you had a ship and there were different, crew that you could put on your ship for these sea battles. And not that it makes sense to have like, Julius Caesar on the cannon and, Frederick the First in the watchtower, not the watchtower, what's the crow's nest or whatever. But like, you get different buffs by putting different commanders in these positions, and the fact that it's a maxed legendary would give you like more bonuses, or just like something, or sending your commanders on like quests or like something that makes them not just like a shiny thing that sits in my inventory and it's like, look at my stamp collection. Hey, it's a stamp. Like, I don't know, something beyond, the utility that they have today will be pretty freaking chill. Now, one thing I promised you at the start of this video is that there's a Lucerne Scrolls Volume 11, and we can give you a sneak peek. When we make our way into Kingdom 2, I've got good news and bad news. Good news is I can give you the sneak peek. The bad news is I don't particularly love the end item that's on here. It's a piece of equipment. That piece of equipment is the Commander's Boots. So this is Archer attack of 8%. And Commander experience gain of 5%. Now, I just have to say, show me the person who says I crafted this legendary for Commander experience on the topic of maybe enhancing the equipment system a little bit, right? I'm crafting legendaries for the Commander experience buff. Joking aside, though, the problem with these boots is that with the current design of KvK, and they are saying they're adding some other designs, so who the heck knows, but with the current design of the Season of Conquest technology, attack is generally the least valuable stat unless, I don't know, they give us some other archer to pair with like Artemisia, who already has like defense and health, and this other commander is like all defense and health. Like maybe then and only then boosting the attack starts to get kind of interesting. But if we just look, and compare to kind of some of the other boot options that we have available when we go to craft here for archers specifically, at the epic tier, I mean, dang, we've got archer health. You special talent this, boom, 7.5% health. Man, would I ever trade 7.5% health for 8% attack? Probably not. Not with the design of the game today. And when we look at these SEP boots, they give 7.5% defense, and you get SEP bonuses. So, I mean, and the SEP bonuses give you attack and skill damage, and eventually archer health. So, the commanders, what are they called? The commanders boots? These just don't excite me very much as a piece of legendary equipment in the current meta. Do I still think it's good to collect these, though? Yes. And the reason I think it's good to be collecting lots of patterns is that they already said they're looking at the equipment system, so who the heck knows, right? They could turn commander experience gain into bonus skill damage, and all of a sudden everybody would be like, whoa, those are some really good boots. Now, to make any changes to the equipment system, it's going to be a really big deal. I don't know how they're going to pull that off. It's a big deal to make changes to equipment. They've done it before. I think it's important for them to look at. I'm kind of excited for what that will look like. Let me know down below in the comments what you think is going to happen. Throw a like on this video if you found it helpful or you learned something. And if you'd like to see the videos we've been doing this week for Commander Week, I mean, gosh, check out the 5551 Legendary Guide we did. Card up in the top. Subscribe so you don't miss the video we do tomorrow. The best unmaxed legendary pairs. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.